All right.
Great.
Let's do it.
Recording now. Crash. Just kidding. Please, no.
Almost certainly. Okay, let's try this.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to turn on self-view then. Okay. Actually, yeah. That's better.
Okay.
All right. Turning off self-view. I just wanted to make sure that since we're videoing. Hey, everybody.
Let's do it.
Aaron's first grade classroom is right behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Her setup. Okay, hiding self-view. But it'll record even though that's like you can see me.
I can see you. I won't hide my self view because I'm nervous then it wouldn't record my face.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, I have to stare at my ugly mug the whole time.
Okay, I'm going to do the same thing then.
Okay.
At least we're in the same
Yeah.
boat.
Good idea.
Okay. Everybody enjoying that? Hey, has everybody if anybody that's watching this have you tried hide self view yet? It is really fun.
Yeah. Let us know.
It is
We
really.
want to know.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's do this, bro.
I'm
Rudy.
Rudy.
Can't wait to talk about it. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, click. All right. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Am I just starting this?
Yeah, I don't have a cold open yet.
Okay, no problem. Rudy is awesome. Blah, blah, blah. It's so cool.
It's a very good movie.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Perfect Movie, a podcast hosted by two regular guys who went from couch to marathon, and now they're making their way back to the couch again. This is Anthony speaking, one of those two aforementioned Gomers coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, joined as always by my friend Steven, all the way out in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Hey, dude.
Hey, dude. So we picked this one out because it's fall. Well, I picked this one out, right?
Right. Anthony's choice.
Fall.
Yep.
And I just wanted to start with this sound, okay? You ready?
I'm ready.
So
you never played in the marching band, did you? At the University of Wisconsin-Madison, you never played in the marching band, did you?
I did not ever play in the marching band. Although that was like total bucket list. Like
Really?
I really wanted to like play like one game.
Okay.
But they're like serious. So what we were just listening to there, that's the University of Wisconsin marching band led by the Michael LaCrone, red sequin jacket and all.
Uh-huh.
If you want to be a Badger, then come along with me is the song.
Yep.
And like they're serious. Like they're hardcore. And it's like a combination of athletics with music. It's like they train. Like I was talking to one of my students that's doing online virtual marching band, which I'm like, what even is that?
Yeah.
And like half of what they're doing is their teacher or their band teacher is like doing drills. Like you're all in your own houses and you're doing workouts and drills and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, our boys are doing it right now. They're both in marching band.
Oh, okay. So tell
Noah
me
is the
about
drum major.
Like
this year.
Wow. Yep. I remember that was going to happen.
Yep.
So, but what does that mean?
So, I mean, it is kind of a bummer because it's online.
Totally.
They did one practice together a couple weeks ago in person, socially distanced, and they're actually doing a parade this Friday, tomorrow night.
Okay.
For 9/11 through the neighborhood by the school. But normally by now, dude, they would be, I mean, it is like a sport, right? It's grueling. I mean, normally they would have had 2 months of rehearsal by now. Grueling heat out there. It's all, coordinated and cool and sweaty and smelly,
right,
and musical, right? And so I should send you this. So what Noah is doing is he's making instructional videos
Oh,
on
that's
how
cool.
to stand, how to march, and then people do the drills. Kids do the drills at home.
Okay.
Or yeah, they split up for class by section, and they yeah. So Noah is the drum major this year, and Jack is playing bass drum 3, which is
Okay.
the third
Oh yeah, like
smallest bass
beep
drum, I
beep beep
think.
beep
Right,
beep beep
exactly.
beep beep. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's so interesting to hear him practicing um because it's not like because he's only playing some notes, and then there's lots of like clicking and clacking,
Yeah.
and you're learning
Oh
to
yeah.
march around too. It's so cool, but
Huh.
it's sad too because they can't be together.
Yep.
It's just such a bummer.
Yeah. Well, that's part of why I'm glad we're doing this movie.
Yep.
Is fall. So fall is my 100% favorite season.
Okay.
Followed by closely by winter because it includes such things as Christmas
Yep.
and snow
Yeah.
and and but then it also comes with what New Year's resolutions and then depression also.
No.
No,
You mean Gomer one words and
yep.
new starts and all that
No, but is it
stuff.
is it like the 21st, like the most depressing day of the year? There's that.
Yep. Blue
Um,
Monday, I think the third Monday of January, the most
okay, yeah.
depressing day of the year. Yeah, you're right. It does come with that. I forgot. Oh, we've got a little freezing happening. He's frozen. Both of us are on Zoom, and our entire families are also on Zoom. So I'm surprised it took this long to happen. Oh,
You
still
there?
there? Yep.
Yep.
I got you now.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Are you still rolling?
I'm still rolling.
Still recording good?
Yep.
Great. Um, yeah, so um so all that stuff. But fall though, the
Fall.
leaves, I just wanted to talk about fall for a second. Like just the leaves,
Yep.
everything's pumpkin spice.
What's the temperature right now in Atlanta? Does it feel like
Um,
fall?
well, okay, well, right now it's 73. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, it's 81. That was earlier.
Oh,
I had to reload.
I was gonna say, yeah, 73
Yeah,
in
that
the
would be
afternoon. That would
fantastic.
be great. Yeah.
Um, it, yeah. So I mean, ideally, we would have done this in October,
Right.
but just the way our schedule is working out, it is feeling more fall.
Yes.
August is like the worst.
Mm-hmm.
July, August,
Yeah.
September gets better, and then it just keeps getting better and better. But there are some leaves changing. You can start to see
Yeah.
nighttime is getting cooler.
Right.
Like I told you, I have my studio or my read stuff set up in the garage now, and so I have
Mm-hmm.
like the doors, the garage. I open the garage doors
Oh,
at night.
nice.
I've
Yeah.
got that little fridge,
Uh-huh. Man, you've
and
got your
there's
fridge. Come on, man. You're that guy now.
dude, but it's a mini fridge though. I'm not that guy.
Oh,
Like
you're not my friend's parents who had the soda and beer
right,
fridge, full fridge in their
right.
in their
This is a
garage.
college. It's a double height college fridge.
Okay, got it.
But I mean, it holds great stuff, and it's awesome. Like you can be out there. There is a little coolness at night. I actually wore a jacket the other night.
Mm-hmm.
So there is starting to be a crispness in the air.
Yeah.
Um,
It's crazy here,
but
dude. It was 90 on Tuesday,
okay.
and last night, Wednesday night, it got down to 27 at night.
Whoa.
So that's partly because the world is insane right now,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
there's this cold front moving through. But definitely, I was out last night. I went to pick up some food, um, and it felt like fall. The air was
Yeah.
crisp.
Yep.
Like you're saying, some leaves are starting to change.
Yep.
It's fall now. Football. Ba,
Yep.
ba, 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 bee, da, da, da. What am I singing there? Is
Yep.
that a?
Coach.
Oh, that's Coach.
Coach.
Oh no,
Yep.
that's an indicator for how much I know about football. The
That's
fight song
football
I
though.
know is the Coach theme song. Dang it.
No, that's great.
Um,
That's a great one.
football is a part of your fall and has been since you went to college.
Yes. So I just realized that we're not on Two Gomers. We're on Perfect Movie.
Yeah.
If you've tuned into this episode and you're like, "What the heck? I thought they were going to talk about Rudy." We did start with a cold open, and we've been trying to land the plane here, and actually no, take the plane off and start talking about Rudy.
Yeah.
But fall is football, and
Right.
that's part of why I wanted to pick this movie in the fall.
Yeah.
Is every Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I are huge Badger fans, UW Badgers. We went there for undergrad. We had season tickets.
Yep.
I am not I wasn't super sports fan, obviously, like we've said a ton of times,
Right.
but there was something about there's a Badger. Go Badger.
I saw this badger on Saturday. I'm sharing my screen with you. We went to
Oh
this
yeah.
this kind of like wildlife park on Saturday, and I saw a badger and
Yeah.
took a picture of it for you.
You saw a real badger. There it is. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're a Gomertron,
Mm-hmm.
if you subscribe to our Patreon at the half marathon level, you're seeing a picture of a real badger taken by Gomer too.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Um, yeah, it's just like when it's your colors,
Mm-hmm.
when it's your team,
Yeah.
something happens and it's like ingrained in you for the rest of your life.
Right.
Those fight songs,
Mm-hmm.
those sounds, I'm going to talk about later. Like, I just love how this movie, Rudy, sounds.
Yeah.
Like it starts with a drum, like,
Yep.
a drum line. The
Yeah.
whole movie starts with a drum line after the TriStar pictures.
Which is wonderful in itself.
Oh,
So that's my call. That's
yep.
my
Right.
clarion call is the
Right.
TriStar Pictures theme.
Yes, totally. It's one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, we should almost like have that'd be a good little short for the bonus disc, would be like best intros. Like the DreamWorks one is great.
Yes.
Universal is great. There's been multiple Universal.
Okay.
Um,
I'm writing that down because that's the best idea I've heard all day. So we
okay,
we
so
we rank the
yes.
production company jingles.
Yes. Yeah, the logos. There's 20th Century Fox.
Yep.
Um there's like the one, I can't think of the company that who did Alien again? Ridley Scott. I can't remember what his,
Oh
but I can
yeah.
hear it.
Yep.
And it's like an arrow. He
Yes.
shoots
Yep.
the arrow,
Yeah.
Um
And Orion, right? Who did Bill and
yep,
Ted? The
totally.
spinning stars. Yeah. Okay. Great idea. We have to do that. That is so good.
Disney,
Yeah.
Pixar, Bad
Right.
Robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that would be a really fun bonus disc.
So not only is there the TriStar opening, it
There's a
starts
TriStar.
with that sound, that marching band.
Yep.
Like just is it's a single drum? I can't even remember.
It's a drum line.
A drum line, right? That's it. I remember. Mm-hmm.
Um, yep. So that rules. Now, people that have been listening to the Gomers for a long time know I fall asleep to movies. Have
Yeah.
for years, have
Uh-huh.
for decades.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister and I used to say, "Do you want to fall asleep to Big, or, like Star Trek, or like what movie do you want to fall asleep to tonight?" Like we'd have like a sleepover or something like
Yeah.
that.
Is Rudy one of those? You fall asleep to Rudy?
Yes, I probably fell asleep to Rudy for maybe 10 years. So
Oh my god.
TriStar Pictures, I mean, in the rotation.
So you hear the TriStar Pictures and it's like boom, it knocks you out. You're sleeping. Frozen again. Oh, you're getting a real treat today, Gomertrons. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so TriStar Picture. Uh-oh, what? Frozen.
Okay, I'm back. Are you back?
Hello. I can sort of hear you.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay. Are you back?
Yep.
Okay.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Still rolling?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be easy to edit. Just sorry, Gomertrons. Actually, this is what you want to see, us
Us messing up.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like starts with that TriStar, then
Yep.
the drum line,
Mm-hmm.
and then hold on. There's just so much editing. And then The harp. Oh yeah.
That flute.
That flute solo. And then you kind of hear them running in the background, starting a football game. You
Yeah.
know, there's like a little skirmish. Is that
Uh-huh.
the right word?
Yep.
Um,
Scrimmage. Yeah, sure. Scrimmage game.
just brothers and neighbors though. You know, like
Yeah.
there's something about the way this music is. It's a combination of like Americana
Mm-hmm.
and like Irish Irish
Sure.
song.
Yeah, you're
Like
right.
I kind of think it's absolutely perfect, and I'll talk about that in the evidence later.
Okay.
Um, but it's that Irish Catholic sound in the
Yeah.
Midwest with the
Yep.
snow. I mean, like, dude, it's just so great.
Yeah. When I
Um,
was watching this movie,
yep,
no, I hadn't seen it for 20 years, I think.
yeah.
So I did not fall asleep to it every night for 10 years. I don't think I've watched it since maybe since high school, dude.
Wow. Okay.
Um, I was thinking the entire movie, this is there is nothing that Anthony doesn't like in this movie. This was like I don't know whether I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg, right? Whether this movie created you or whether somebody like took the top off of your head and looked inside and Rudy, the 2 hours movie that is Rudy, was in there. The VHS was in there and they just removed it.
Like we found all things that you would like and we put it in this. You're
Right.
totally right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, fall football, fall Midwest, great score,
Yep.
Sean Astin, everything about it.
Inspirational story, right? Like
Oh yeah,
somebody.
underdog. Actually,
Yes.
I want to
Underdog story. Yep.
underdog may be um top for me
Yeah.
story wise.
Yep.
And I wanted to read this review, just a little excerpt of Roger Ebert's review,
Okay.
um, why he thought it was great.
Yeah.
He said underdog movies are a durable genre and never go out of style. They're fairly predictable in the sense that few movie underdogs ever lose in the big last scene. The
Mm-hmm.
notion is enormously appealing, however, because everyone can identify in one way or another, which I totally can. But here's how he said this kind of stands out as an underdog movie.
Yeah.
In Rudy, Aston's performance is so self-effacing, so focused and low-key that we lose sight of the underdog formula and begin to focus on this dogged kid who won't quit.
Mm-hmm.
And the last big scene is an emotional powerhouse, just the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, like, it does follow the underdog tropes.
Yep.
But yeah, like he said, Sean Astin just does a perfect job of, like, you just love this dude. You just
Yeah.
root for this dude. You just,
Right.
it's like, man, like from the very first scene when he's like, what a spaz, his older brother, what a spaz. You're just like,
You're like, don't
I
be mean
love
to
this.
him.
Yeah. Like dude. Okay. So I didn't get a chance to watch this movie till this morning. And I probably actually, even though I fell asleep to it for years, didn't watch it until this morning for probably a couple of years.
Okay.
So when the music came up, when they called him a spaz, when they laughed at him
Yeah.
in front of the TV, like, I'm going to go to football. And the dad's like, eh, like,
yes.
almost like he's going to hit him.
Yep. Why I oughta.
Like,
Yeah.
you're going to give me indigestion here. Like, he doesn't have an accent like that at all.
Right.
But man, dude, I was tearing up really bad this morning, dude.
Wow. Okay.
Like, if we had recorded then, I don't know if I could have said some of the stuff we're going to talk about.
Well, we'll see. I was wondering if you're going to be able to make it through some of this stuff. I mean,
I feel
great
now.
Yeah.
I feel great now. This morning, I was like, every new idea I was thinking of, I was like, oh, like, like, when
yeah.
I was like, how are we going to talk about his encouraging friend?
Right.
How are we going to talk about, like, his dad issues,
mm-hmm.
the desiring for acceptance of dad.
Yeah.
So, but now I feel good.
Okay.
Earlier,
well,
not good.
I can't wait to talk about all that stuff. We'll get into the trial
Yep.
It'll be an interesting trial, right? You're going to be
Yep.
presenting all the evidence. It's your choice. Um,
Yep.
so this one, I guess the other thing I was thinking about when I was watching was how much nostalgia is just baked into this for you, and how
Mm.
interesting that'll be when we get into the trial.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. This was what The Martian was for 2016 through 18.
Okay.
Like my desktop, dude, like so this is when we were starting the Gomers.
Yeah.
When we were starting the Gomers and we were starting to learn to run and stuff,
Uh-huh.
um I I screenshotted him running,
Really?
and that was like my desktop on my laptop for like a long time.
Wow. Okay. So
Just
this
like
is this is part of you.
like yeah, it's I'm gold and blue through and through. I'm Rudy and Goldsmith and Rizzo, sorry, Pizzo and Ans. I don't know how to pronounce the dude's last name. David Anspog, the director.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, let's go to the Gomer
yeah.
one sheet, should we? Because I think that
Okay.
the thing that really stuck out to me was that this writer, director, composer team is the same as from Hoosiers,
Yes. Yep.
um, which is another movie that I love that I haven't seen for a long time.
See, I should have watched Hoosiers to get the experience that you probably got watching Rudy. Like
Yeah.
somebody is like feels like to Hoosiers like I feel like about Rudy. Um,
So
like
you've
I'm
seen
not super
Hoosiers, I'm
attached.
assuming.
I've seen it, but a
Yeah.
really long time ago, and I'm not attached to it at all.
Okay.
I know I would love it. I love Gene Hackman.
Yep.
Um, and you know, I can't even think of the score right now, but I actually think this may be Goldsmith's best.
Wow.
Some of his best.
Sweet.
Like, okay. Yeah, but same team that wrote these. So this movie came out October 22nd, 1993.
Right.
Running time 112 minutes, just under 2 hours, which I know you would love.
It's a little long, but
there's some stuff that could probably be cut, and there's a lot of like things that are very repetitive. You know, you
yeah,
go
but
through
you
an
know what?
entire semester, you
I
go
will give it credit that I was never bored, and
mm,
I never was thinking, let's get on with it. I think if I watched it every day, I would think that. But
mm-hmm.
with 20 years in between, I thought it moved really well.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't have been longer than 2 hours, so just under two is great.
Yep.
Um, budget for this was $12 million. That's pretty low. But
Yeah.
again, we just did Black Panther was our last episode. Budget 200 million. Now the gross at the box office just under 23 million. That's not very good. I thought
Yeah,
this was going to
I
gross a
don't know.
lot more than that.
Sometimes I have trouble figuring out what is a hit and what isn't. Um,
Right.
because I've read before, like doubling the box office is not great unless it's for a low budget film, or was it
Mm,
high? And so maybe I need to read more about what that is. My feeling is the, doubling what you doubling what you put into a movie like this is probably good.
okay. And do you know what Jurassic Park grossed by any chance? I should have looked that up because that
300
was the same
million.
year.
I think it was 300 million.
Okay. So,
Maybe
yeah, this is
500.
like
It broke records, right? It was the top grossing movie. So that's another weird thing when you're looking at like a movie that broke all records for box office and it was a huge deal.
yeah,
But there were a lot of movies like this, like Rudy, still in the theaters being made, that I don't think a movie like this gets to the theater anymore.
right.
It's
Yep.
very rare.
Everything is huge now.
Right.
Everything is huge. Everything has a big budget like spectacle to it.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like
just a
huge or indie and there's no in between.
yep,
So like a big production company like TriStar making a movie and putting it out in theaters like Rudy, I don't think that happens as much anymore.
yep. Totally. Just like a human
Yeah,
story like that.
right.
Um hmm. Okay, this didn't really win any awards other than American Film Institute put it on its 100 best films of all time.
Okay.
It's number 54 most inspiring film. Vulture.com.
Uh-huh.
That's when we Google searched sports movies during
Right.
A League of Their Own.
Oh, I remember.
So this
Yeah,
has
we
it.
found that list. Yep.
Yep, this is in its top 50.
Okay.
It's at number 35 on there currently.
Yep.
Rotten Tomatoes, 78% critic,
Mm-hmm.
90% audience. People love this
Yeah,
movie.
that
Love it.
makes a lot of sense to me. This is an
Yep.
audience movie, right? This is
Yeah.
made for audiences.
Oh yeah, this was made for me.
Right. Where a critic could pick it apart. If you're just a
Ah.
part of the audience, you don't
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
about any of that stuff. Yeah.
Right. You know, since we're talking about critics real quick, can we
Yeah.
just do a quick stricken from the record?
Okay, sure.
Because we forgot to do that earlier.
Yeah.
So if you're new to this podcast, we strike things from the record. They cannot be put into the trial.
Right. You cannot
Okay.
take them into account when you vote.
Yep.
So, for instance, when we did Space Camp, Anthony had a list of 30 things that were stricken from the record.
Half of the Space Camp episode was stricken from the record.
And I still think it got like a 30% vote from the audience. We need to strike more, apparently.
Yep. But I stand by this. I stand by this movie massively.
Yeah.
Okay. So stricken from the record, I took a pretty deep dive this week into this movie.
Okay.
Now, I didn't actually screen it until this morning where I wept. The
tears did not flow in your research, but only when you watched. Yeah.
Yep. So what I actually did is I listened to a couple of different podcasts about it, and I watched a bunch of interviews. And this recurring theme was this movie's fake.
Oh, okay.
They were like this. So, okay, if you're a huge fan of this movie, this next minute, I feel super bad saying, but it needs to be said because if you look up Rudy, this all comes out. They're like the story's fabricated.
Oh, okay.
It's made up.
I see.
It didn't really happen this way. So like Joe Montana, who, dude, we're so not into sports, but he's like super famous. You probably heard of him.
I recognize the name. Sure, a football player.
Team. I only
Joe
know because I looked it up.
Montana played for the Dolphins. Is that right?
Okay. Well, I saw that he played for the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs, but perhaps he also played for the Dolphins.
You keep talking, I'll see.
Okay. So he actually was going to Notre Dame when this happened.
Was he Vince Vaughn?
Yeah, so yeah, he played by Vince Vaughn. This a-hole thinks it's the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So he was there during that time?
Yes. Yeah, so he was like a backup quarterback or injured or something like that. And so he kind of had a bit of a hot take that he was like, it didn't really happen like that. The jersey thing didn't happen where they like laid the jerseys down. That's totally made up.
Oh, man.
A lot of other people have said like, so like they chanted Rudy after he left.
I see.
Like after he did the sack. So like, you know, there was a lot of artistic license brought into this movie.
Okay.
And like I guess the coach really actually liked him. Like he's kind of the antagonist. But actually he really liked him.
Yeah.
The people really liked him. They also said that when they were cheering Rudy, it was somewhat in mocking. Not in like super like. Now this is the hot take from Joe Montana.
Right.
The
but famous
it's kinda,
Dolphins
like,
football player. Right. I just looked it up. He never played for the Dolphins. Dang it.
Okay. I didn't think so. There's a dude that played for the Dolphins that was in stinking Ace Ventura.
Right.
I think that's who you're thinking of. Dan Marino.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Look at us.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And Brett Favre was in it too, right? Wasn't Brett Favre in Ace Ventura?
Ace Ventura? I don't think so. But anyways, like his brother is made up. Frank, that's a made up character. There wasn't really the groundskeeper. Fortune is kind of like a conglomerate of characters. So anyways, Rudy himself has come out and said that it's 92% accurate. But it's like all you have to do is like just Google search this on YouTube. And I was like, oh no, don't make me hate this movie. Like, don't tear it apart. Like, this is the best movie ever. So I wanted to put that on Stricken from the record.
Let me ask you, does any of that matter to you? I'm wondering.
Okay, I'll tell you the truth. Looking into that, listening to some of those podcasts where people just shredded it, it was starting to make me feel bad.
Huh.
Like it wasn't life-giving to one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh man.
Um,
Sorry, dude.
and so I want to play this clip from Rudy himself.
Rudy himself, Rudy Rudiger.
Yep, this is Rudy Rudiger from straight from the horse's mouth. Okay,
Okay.
here we go.
The message of the movie was so strong. I didn't care whether it was true or not, whether it happened or not.
Hmm.
When I was watching the final scoring of the movie in Tadeo's studio with Jerry Goldsmith and Kenny and his team were back there, just watching the filming, how that music came together, I just knew it was going to be a powerful message. When I saw Jerry Goldsmith cry during the scoring, I knew there was something very powerful here. And he turned around and says, you know, Rudy, this score is going to be heard in the Olympics. This could be so triumphant. It'll be heard all over the world the rest of your life. This will live for a very long time.
Basically, Rudy was like, and you can watch a lot more and listen to a lot more of his interviews and Sean Astin's interviews and Pizzo, Angelo Pizzo. Like they were like, when you're trying to tell somebody's story, you have to figure out how to squeeze it in into an hour and 52 minutes.
Yeah.
So we had, this didn't actually happen here. This didn't actually happen here. And we're trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
We have a narrative. Like it would be dumb if they were like just cinematically, if he hit and then they started chanting Rudy. Like,
yeah, I
you know what I
get
mean?
it. I mean, so this is our second biopic, I think, that we've done.
Yep.
If all this stuff was coming out about Just Mercy isn't true, right? And here's all these discrepancies, and he actually didn't do these things at all, etc. I think I would be like, okay, that feels really weird in a story like that. With this one, it is a underdog sport story.
Yeah,
I am fine. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm fine with it not being 100% accurate, and for them making narrative choices to get those tears squeezing out of my little eyes. Let's squeeze a little tear out, right?
It squeezes those tears out.
But I also think I get why people be like, oh, well, they're taking advantage of me or something like that, right? Like, it didn't really happen, then why would I even watch it? I get that, but for me as a viewer, I actually don't care in a sports movie. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that I don't care about. I'm not a sports guy, right?
Well, so yeah, like Joe Montana was like, he was offsides, and they just didn't call it, like stuff like that.
Okay,
like some sports people had some issues with. But the thing is, like, I heard a story from Rudy also that he was like, Kobe Bryant came up to him and was like, gave him a huge hug and was crying, and he's like, that is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
You know, like these sports dudes that absolutely love Rudy. I mean, like, I think about movie music, or not movie music, but like music movies that were seminal in my development, right? And so like they're a part of you. And so like Rudy, his story, and the heart of the story is 100% true.
Right. Okay. So
you know what I mean? Like the heart of the dude, and that's what's important.
Yeah, like, you could even hear it in that clip. He is that guy, right?
Totally.
So if there's a thing or two that's a little bit exaggerated or reordered, or like he didn't have a brother.
Yeah.
Well, but he did. I thought he did have like 8 or 9 brothers, right?
Yeah, he does.
In the end.
He does. And dude, oh my gosh, I'm so pumped to talk about his brother, because I can't wait to talk about that, because that's going to be in my evidence.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So I just want that stricken from the record.
Yeah.
People are going to have heard it all over the place. So when I watched it this morning, I was like, oh yeah, who cares about that crap? This movie freaking rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it tugs at all the right things, and it inspires in all the right ways, and it makes you want to be great and dream big. So
let me read the VHS synopsis, and then we can get to the trial. Okay. So here it is. And it's pretty good. All his life, people have told Rudy he's not good enough, not smart enough, not big enough. But nothing can stop his impossible dream of playing football for Notre Dame. From the time he's a young boy, Rudy, Sean Astin, is determined to join the Fighting Irish, not join the not fight the joining Irish. But his blue-collar family only laughs at his ambitions. They know Rudy will follow his father and brothers to the local steel mill. And for 4 long years after high school, he does just that. But some dreams won't die, as Rudy proves when he goes to heroic, occasionally hilarious, lengths to win admission to Notre Dame. Occasionally hilarious? What are they talking about there?
What? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I know. Once there, he becomes a walk-on player, serving as little more than a human tackling dummy against the starting players. Bloodied but unbeaten, Rudy wins the respect of the coach and the other Irish players, who give him one shot at gridiron glory. An incredible true story from the creators of Hoosiers. Rudy is an unforgettable testament to the power of dreams and the triumph of the common man. Good News Nation. It's in color, PG, and like you said, 112. Full, sometimes slow, but never boring minutes.
Yep. Okay, that's great. What was that? Bloody but unbroken?
Bloodied. Where, sorry. I can't
Bloodied,
find it. Bloodied
okay.
but unbeaten.
Unbeaten.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Bloody but unbeaten.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. All sorts
and
of
the
inspiring
triumph
things.
of common man.
Yeah. Even on the back of the VHS box, we're inspired. Are you crying yet?
I was crying earlier, dude. I was crying. Spaz.
All right. Well, let's listen to the trailer.
All right.
And then we'll come back, put Rudy on trial, and decide, is it a perfect movie?
Great. All right, let's stop that real quick. 1, 2, 3, stop. And save. Can I whiz real quick, dude?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Rudy Steven is what I'm titling this. Then I'm going to pull up the trailer so that we can all watch it together. Do-da-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I wonder what's in that box. Gomertron, do you see that box behind Anthony? I wonder what's in there. Now we said, oh, this episode probably won't be longer than an hour. We've already gone 35 minutes. But I think we're going to cut some of that. Anthony, you can cut some of that. I know there were some edits.
Oh, yeah. So you want to know what's in that box?
Yeah.
It's empty, dude.
Man.
This is Aaron's like first grading teacher spot, and that's where her computer goes. So it's a little bit higher.
I gotcha. Okay,
right.
Should I share the screen on the trailer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Then we can watch it together. I won't I won't record this on GarageBand, right?
No.
Okay, Rudy trailer. Here we go. Looking good. Share screen. Share sound. All right.
Yes.
This year,
commercial. A crummy commercial. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I can't hear it. Check 1, 2. Oh no. Can you hear me still or no?
Yep.
Okay, that's not
I wonder if
working.
you could just leave the Gomers on in the background. Look at that. Sean Astin shares details about Rudy.
Okay, this isn't working. And I lost this on my GarageBand.
Oh, man.
Okay, maybe this isn't going to work.
Yeah, don't worry about that. We can just get right to it.
Okay. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Come on.
Check.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay, it's back.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody.
Yep. All right, I'm going to start right at 35:23. Does that work for you?
I'm at 35:23:9.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, great.
Let's do it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, click. Oh, geez. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
1 2 3. All rise.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going over there? I love Rudy. I wish Ned Beatty would have been my dad. He's so awesome.
I bet this guy's dad is very similar to Ned Beatty, right? Like you're across the hall roommate in college.
Yep.
I can imagine his dad being very similar.
Totally.
Well, here we are in the trial. And here's how it works. If this is your first time, if you're like, I'm feeling that crisp air. I watched Rudy. I wonder if there's a podcast about it. You type it in and this comes up.
You'll find a bunch of snarky ones, by the way.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure there are. Not this one. We're going to be earnest. So we have a long list of movies that we love. Rudy has been on Anthony's particular list since the very beginning. It might be one of the first ones you put on there.
Yep.
So we take one of those movies and we act as its defense counsel. We present evidence because this is an Anthony's choice. He's the one who's presenting evidence to me and the nation to attempt to prove to you, to me, and even to himself that this movie is indeed perfect because in a week we're going to put a poll up on Instagram and Facebook. You, the listener, get a vote. If 75% of you vote yes, if Anthony votes yes, and if I vote yes, it's unanimous. It goes on the perfect movie list. We put an MP4 on a flash drive, put it into the Nostromos. Is that the name of the alien ship?
Yeah.
Nostromos, yeah.
Well, we send it on V'ger to the Nostromo.
Oh, right, yeah. It's got to get there somehow. V'ger first, it gets there. People are running around screaming, dying, but the xenomorph gets a hold of that flash drive, sticks it into that computer that's just green and white, you know?
Yep.
Somehow is able to watch all the movies and is converted into a nice little boy or girl. I don't know, what is the alien an alien male or female?
Oh, I don't know. Not sure.
But the score is Jerry Goldsmith, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So there you go. If they would recognize that, they'd be like, oh, this is the music I've been hearing.
Yeah, I want that. Okay, that would be an amazing mashup. Play the Rudy score over a scene in Alien. Like that would be incredible. Okay.
Or vice versa. Sometimes, actually, I will confess to you. There was one time. So I watched this movie. Here's the first thing I want to tell you. I watched this movie with Jack and Noah and Jessica, Jessica's sister, and Jessica's brother-in-law, Taylor. Taylor told me that one time he watched Rudy before a basketball game and he did really good. And so then he watched Rudy before every basketball game he ever played because he thought it was a good luck charm. But he hadn't seen it for a long time. And so he was like, yeah, I'll watch Rudy with you. So we watched Rudy. That's the first thing. The second thing
he's out there?
They were up here from Phoenix. They live in Phoenix.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so you had a screening of this with a crew?
Yeah. Dude,
that rules.
Yeah. So they just had a baby, be there. And they came up so that we could meet the baby. And
cool.
It was great. It's kind of like you going out to Wisconsin. It was them coming up to us. But yeah, an actual screen with people in it. I kept saying, it's funny that we mentioned this thing about Alien. I kept saying with a different score, this movie might be like creepy.
Sure.
Because like Rudy is friggin' everywhere. He's always sneaking up on people. Like with a different score and a different cut, this movie might be frightening.
Yeah. Okay. So that's amazing. What we did on Friday night, Aaron and I were like, we wanted to watch something.
Yeah.
And what we ended up watching was maybe an hour of those trailers. You've seen those like mashup trailers, like Sleepless in Seattle as a thriller.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
that's what I was imagining. Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Yep.
that's super fun, and like they'll just I think it's Mashable
Okay.
that does that. We literally watched trailers for an hour, like laughing our butts out. We didn't even get to a movie. Like it
That's
was
awesome.
Silence of the Lambs as a romantic comedy, and they like
Oh,
cut
that's
it
good.
together.
I love
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
So so Rudy as like a creepy,
Like a stalker film
yep,
or something,
sure,
like
creeping into the, like
yeah.
he lives at the football stadium. Like he's
He's
coming up on
creeping
that.
into that window.
Yeah, he's at that bar with that girl that leads the like student team.
Right, exactly.
He's like painting the like
he runs up to her
helmet's
like,
gold.
"Don't I know you?" Remember
Yeah,
that part?
I'll find my ID soon. Like,
yeah, exactly. So we had fun thinking about that.
yeah, that's good.
So I mean, Jerry Goldsmith could do it, right? I mean, just sub in the Alien score, and we've got a different movie.
Well, I want to see Xenomorphs though with that flute solo. I want to see that.
Yeah,
The little
like
laddies
bursting out of chests, they're tearing
laddies
people's
and
heads
lassies.
off.
Yeah, I'm gonna start doing that, dude.
It's a good
Once
idea.
I figure out how to work iMovie. Yeah.
Someday, dare to dream.
Well, now that we got that iPad Pro, I'm gonna start messing around with it.
Sweet.
We just got that in the mail yesterday. That thing is friggin' unbelievable with a little magic keyboard.
Wow.
Holy smokes. It's like they said, your next computer is not a computer.
Huh.
It is incredible.
Now, could you edit the podcast on that?
I'm going to figure that out. I could do what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Like I could record into GarageBand with this audio interface. And I think you could edit it. I just don't know that we'd have all the fancy bells and whistles.
Right. Yeah.
Plus you'd be touching it a lot. Like
squeezing,
pinching,
tweaking,
swiping,
squirting. All right. Okay. So let us go into the trial. Anthony, you are the defense attorney.
Yeah.
Trying to prove to us all that Rudy is a perfect movie.
Okay. All right. So actually I got to boot up my music here. So I freaking love this movie.
Yeah.
As we've already said a bunch of times.
Right.
My evidence number one is The Dream.
The Dream.
The Dream. This is a movie about a kid with a dream. Okay. That clip I played for you earlier with Rudy, it was at like the 25th anniversary screening, and the director, the writer, Sean Astin,
right,
Rudy, and then I think Rudy's son
are
there, and they're like a panel, like it's like the credits have just rolled 100 or a couple 100 people have just screened the movie.
Okay, so they watched the movie together.
Yep.
Okay.
Which, man, I would love to watch this movie with like in a theater again.
Yeah.
Like
that would be great.
I don't know that I watched this movie in the theater, to be honest.
I didn't.
Like I probably saw this movie. I probably saw this movie years after it came out.
Did you see it in high school? I'm sure you saw it in high school.
Yes, I probably saw it in high school.
Okay.
But for sure saw it in college, and that's when I fell in love with it. The whole Badger football thing, the whole like there were two things in high school that I was like not into. Rock music, rock and roll.
Yeah, you didn't like the rock and roll musics. I remember. You really poo-pooed it. You were sticking your nose up at that stuff for sure.
I totally did. Such an elitist snob. I'm going to go to Juilliard one day. But it had the gateway of like Supertones, Dave Matthews.
Wow.
And so college, Chad and I both got guitars.
Yep.
We were roommates. I really got into it. So that, and then sports, right? I was like, sports are stupid.
Right.
And then Badger football, it just rules. Is anybody out there a big, I want to like click like in the chat if you're like, does anybody love Big Ten football, or like down here in the South, football is almost like a religion.
Yeah, I know we do have people who like football that are listeners, because sometimes they give you crap about the Badgers.
Right. Yep. We've gotten that before.
Yep.
And so, man, dude, no football this year.
Yeah.
No Badgers.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, it's so sad. So it's just one of the many things that's a real bummer about this fall, which is why we want to talk about Rudy. So the dream, though. So there's actually a Rudy Foundation.
Okay. I didn't know that.
All I know about it is that there's a Rudy Foundation. I didn't look into that or anything.
Okay, so now we know the same thing about this foundation.
Right now, you know. But the head of the Rudy Foundation was kind of like she was the like the one fielding the questions, you know, pass the microphone to the thing. And what she maybe this is the tagline for it. But it was dream big, never quit.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if that's the tagline or if that's just what she said. But I would say, so the scene where he is like, one day I'm going to play football for Notre Dame.
The flashback when he's a little kid, right?
Yep. So I had that exact moment in my life.
Yeah. Now, let me see if I can remember when it happened.
Okay.
Was it when you were mowing the lawn?
Yep, you heard the story 100 times.
I've heard it. I can't. What I can't tell you is why. I can't remember what was happening to you when you were mowing the lawn and decided I'm going to play bassoon professionally for a career and go to the Juilliard school.
Yeah, it was just like one of those. Like, what happens when you get an idea?
Yeah.
What is that? Is that the Holy Spirit? Is that neurons fighting?
So
firing
you weren't
off?
listening to anything?
No, I mean, I might have been listening to some music or something on my Walkman.
Yeah.
Mixtape.
Sure.
I think it was Stan Kenton, actually. Orange Colored Sky.
Okay.
Actually, I think you're, yeah. 'Cause I just remember an epiphany like that. It was like, I'm going to play football for Notre Dame. Oh, wait, no. It was like, I'm going to be a professional bassoonist.
Wow.
You know?
How old
and it
were
was
you?
like that clear. It was 8th grade. It was that clear.
Wow.
And it's funny because what I did is I did exactly what Rudy did. I told my dad. That's the first thing I did.
Wow.
And he didn't say he was going to slap me.
He'd go, why I oughta?
Why I oughta?
What did he say?
He just went like, huh, cool. You know, like, I think, okay, so we were talking about the other day, like about how kids sounded like or parents sound like trombones.
Yeah, sure.
To kids. I think there's got to be a reverse analog of that where long kid stories, sometimes in your brain, our brains are like firing off. There's so much noise right now.
Yep.
And you don't know maybe that's the moment where you're sharing the pivotal moment, but that
right.
So I don't know if there is. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I wonder what the instrument is that we hear the kids. Is it a clarinet or an oboe? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That is good. Like you could edit that together with Charlie Brown, like trombone. When the adults are talking, and then they hear the kid, and it's like.
So there's no actual dialogue in the entire show. It's just noises.
That's probably like what quarantine has been like for a lot of people.
Yeah,
just
totally.
Trombones and clarinets.
Yeah.
So in this like sort of dream, like I think this is why people love this movie is the dream big, and never quitness of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I wonder if that's why you love it.
Yep.
So very much, because it does tell, to a certain extent, it does tell your story. I don't think you had a bunch of people telling you how you weren't gonna make it, right? I mean, there are very. I mean, he sits down with his dad at the bus station, and his dad tells him the story about his dad failing.
Yep. Right.
And you think, I mean, I love that scene because you think he's going to say, "You follow your dream anyway." And what he says to Rudy is, "Following a stupid dream hurts you, and it hurts people around you."
Yep.
I mean, I loved that because I was like,
Good writing.
Yeah. You know what he's up against, right?
Yep.
And so I don't think that probably was true for you. A whole bunch of people, including your dad, saying, "Shut up, you can't do it."
Never gonna happen.
Like I
And I was
told
like,
Noah when he said, "I'm
Oh,
gonna be
right.
president." I was like, "Nah." I mean, you got to be so smart for that, dude. Now, nowadays, never mind.
Yeah.
I won't go there.
Right. But so, okay, so that is great writing, and that could be a different piece of evidence, which I didn't use.
Right.
But I love the realness that like it's more true to life that he was like that, instead of like, go for it, dude. Because the thing is, and this is where it doesn't relate to me,
Yeah.
is that um he wasn't built to do this.
And he even says it about himself, right? He says it
Yeah.
when he meets the coach, right? I'm not fast. I'm not big.
Right. I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't the strongest. But I led the team in tackles.
Right.
Right. Like,
and he does sort of have some sort of Rocky superpower where he can take. He's like, that's Rocky's thing, right? He's not the biggest. Actually, he's not the strongest, but he can take a punch.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets up and he gets up and he gets up. And sometimes in Rocky movies, he wins because of that.
Right. Bloody but unbeaten.
Right. And so I think that's very similar to Rudy, right? He can just get tackled so many times and stand up, but he knows his limitations.
Right.
He knows he's not the best at it.
Yep. So like the coach says at one point, like, I wish I could take your heart and put it into other people's bodies.
Right.
Or like he said the same thing. Pete, his best friend, said the same thing to his older brother. Like, the coach said that if you had 1/10 of Rudy's heart and desire, you could win all conference.
Oh yeah, that happens twice. Yeah, that language happens twice in the movie. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like his heart is what we're all like. It's like what we're all after, to have a heart like that, of perseverance, of like, never quit, dream big, never quit. So I love that about him. I love the perseverance. There's 3 things that kind of like, I think, go with this dream that I could relate to. Okay. The first one, the encourager friendship. Dude, dreams are what makes life tolerable. That's what my dad says.
You're talking about the guy early on, right? His friend.
Yep, his friend. He has an encourager who then dies, and that's kind of what catapults him into becoming a man of the cloth. I mean, going to Notre Dame, which that scene is super funny. I love
that scene too.
That's a great, like, 1 minute where one person thinks the other person is talking about the other thing, and they both think they're talking. So like, it's like what, it's gonna be really hard, dude. And he's like, I know. He's like, it's gonna mean a lot of sacrifice. I know. Like, and he's talking about being a priest. Versus going to college to play football. So he's got the encouraging friendship. He's got the wise old mentor. So that is Charles S. Dutton,
right?
Who I just think, for me, he's one of the best parts about this movie.
Yeah, he's great.
Like in this life, you don't gotta prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
Well, yeah, I want to get back to that part.
Okay.
Because I have questions about I have some observations about watching this movie as a 40-something, different than when I was a teenager. And what I noticed about the journey, and what I noticed about that speech in particular, that really connected with me.
Okay.
But I would just want to say one other thing about Charles S. Dutton. That's another Alien connection. He's in Alien 3. He helps Sigourney Weaver defeat the alien in Alien 3. Yeah, he's so good.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's one of the prisoners.
Now I remember that. Okay.
Yep.
I love that actor.
Me too.
Like, there's just something really strong about him. Like, and that's one of my favorite kinds of characters in a movie, is like the older wise mentor.
Yeah.
And I've had some of those in my life that that just can say the truth
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
like the speech that he gives. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. And then he tells his personal story and what his struggle was, and how he felt awful about, his experience with Notre Dame, which is why it's incredible that he works there, but he won't watch a game. So their relationship, I love how he helps him. And so I love that. And then this is what I wanted to talk about most in this particular dreaming thing is, so Frank, so remember to get back to Charles S. Dutton, okay?
Yeah.
Frank is, like that one article said, made up.
Frank, his mean brother, right? There's this mean brother who keeps saying, like, you can't do this. You're so dumb. And he's, like, offended.
Yep.
Like, it seems like he is personally offended
Yep.
that Rudy is actually chasing his dream.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's Frank.
Okay, so when I started thinking, when I saw that Frank wasn't real, and I watched it this last time through, I was like, imagining if Frank actually isn't there.
Okay.
But thinking about it, that Frank is actually the proxy for his doubt.
His self-doubt.
The proxy for, like, everything that is fighting against him. And when I watched it like that, it almost like was like all those negative voices that are in your head saying, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't go for it. It like put like a face to that. And one scene, I like swore that he wasn't in it, and then all of a sudden he was in it. It's when they're like playing shuffleboard or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
You can't see him in the shot.
Huh.
And then like all of a sudden he's there in the next shot, and I was like, dude, I was like, is there a possibility
like Sixth Sense style,
right,
you get to the end and it's like he never existed,
like he wasn't actually there, it was just the inner critic inside of Rudy.
Okay, I love that.
And so when I watched it through like that, I was like, if you do watch it again, like sometime in the future, which we have lots of movies to watch, and you don't have time to waste. But if you do watch it again, think about that, and think about Frank as like being that, just like a symbol. And I think I read, somebody said it was a human symbol of all the people that discouraged Rudy, is like, what, like how they wrote that character. Because somebody was like, hey, you didn't actually have an older brother. And the writer said that.
Yeah, and actually, I really like that as a story, as a story tool, right? As a writing tool, which is, we can't tell the story of every single person that was telling Rudy not that he couldn't do it, and so let's make one conglomerate character. I actually think that's true to the story,
totally,
and fits in a 2-hour movie. I have zero problem with that, with them making up a brother that represents those things. I also really love this other thing that you're talking about, which is that it is also, or is most, his inner critic.
Yep.
And then he defeats that, or he overcomes that at the end of the movie.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool how like he keeps going back to tell his dad. So there is an acceptance of dad. I was trying to read it through that lens this time too, because like the acceptance of the father is like such a big thing, just like in life.
Yeah.
And some people don't have that. Some people do have that. Some people don't worry about that. Some people that's crushing.
Right.
But like, I don't think that he just wants to please his dad by doing this.
Yeah.
Because his dad's actually saying he can't do it. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
I almost think the person that he's most worried about is Frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, remember, he's like, please, Frank, please come. Remember to the game, he's like, I'm going to dress. Please be there.
Right. The conversation he has with his dad at the bus stop doesn't keep him from going.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And then there's even that part where the coach asks, is this just for your dad?
Yep.
And he says, no, it's for
everybody that said I couldn't do this. That's what Frank represents, right?
Okay. So you're actually changing my mind about something, which is that and maybe I'll just talk about it now, which is watching it as a 40-something, I kind of felt like Charles S. Dutton in the final speech, which is like, "You are so full of crap," he tells him. "You are so full of crap and you don't even know it."
Right.
Because
5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing.
And maybe this is it is my age, of course. So where I related to him more, where I was like, look around you, dude. Look at what you've accomplished. Why are you so obsessed with this one thing? And so maybe we're different in that way, because I actually think we could probably talk about this more off podcast. You are a person who had that one thing as a very young person, and you accomplished that one thing. You became a professional bassoon player. I have not had anything like that, I don't think, in my life. It's always been it's been less concrete maybe for me.
Sure, yeah, totally.
And so when I have come into contact with students like this, like Rudy is, where they're just so obsessed with this one thing, sometimes it's marriage.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a certain degree or a certain amount of money. My go-to in those moments is Charles S. Dutton style. Saying, "It's not about that one thing, you idiot." You need to be satisfied even if you don't have everything you wanted, especially that one thing, with who you are, what you've been given. So it's more complicated because it's a movie, and I get it, and Rudy is so endearing, and that film, or that part of the film, feels a little jarring. But I was like, dang, I agree with this, with what's happening right now.
It's like in Home Alone, where we used to be Kevin and now we're the parents.
Right.
You know, like now you relate more to Charles S. Dutton's character.
Yep.
Because you're coaching and I'm teaching people too, like, and we have kids, and and the movie would have been dumb if like she Lily Taylor, Lily Tomlin, she's super funny. His girlfriend at the time found that house. It's got wall-to-wall carpeting. He's like, "You know what? My dad was right. Forget it. I'm just going to work at the mill." Not that that's bad, but that would not have made a good movie.
No.
Like what if it ended right there? Like that could be end movie.
I love, by the way, that she ends up with his other brother. That Christmas scene is so good. He comes home and everybody's like, about him. He's right. That so reminded me of when I first came home from college, where I felt like I was going to come home the conquering hero. I did it.
Kill the fattened calf.
And everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, hey, Steven, other people have gone to college, you know, in the history of the world." And I was like, huh?
Right.
But then he's already feeling that. And then his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, comes in kissing on his brother.
You're smooching with everybody. Yep.
I love that.
Oh, totally. Okay, so you're totally right. Like when you like the idea of like that one thing, if you don't get it, forget it.
Right.
He's totally right on, because that's one of the things with his dream that doesn't resonate. Is like, okay, so what do you do now that you played that play, you sacked that quarterback? It's like, what's the sequel? Like, now what? And that's a big thing in our 40s, right? That we're thinking, like, if you do go for that, and I've definitely felt that a lot, and that's where song, look around.
Yep.
Not enough.
That's Charles S. Dutton's speech put to music, right?
Totally. Philippa Sue singing Charles S. Dutton to Rudy. That's what that song is in Hamilton.
Right. And I love what you're asking right now, which is what happens when you do get the one thing.
Yep.
This is not what the movie's about, but when I'm watching it as a 42-year-old guy who is, gone through a couple midlife crises already.
Right.
I mean, you accomplished the goal from 8th grade, right? You became a professional bassoonist, but all of your problems didn't go away. All of everything didn't go away. And sometimes
totally.
I just want to get a hold of Rudy and shake him. Like, if you get this thing, there's more to life than that.
Yeah.
and you're going to have to go on from it. So I've never thought that before watching this movie. It's been 25 years or whatever since I did, but it was interesting for me to take the dream and put it through that lens
Yeah.
of just relax, bro. Now, if he had
I know.
relaxed, he wouldn't have gotten there. So I don't know quite how I feel about Rudy. Maybe that's my conclusion.
Okay. Yep. And perhaps that's a 20-something thing too.
Yeah.
Is like shoot for the stars, you get the moon for free. Um but like so like, success is about the journey, not the destination. I'm just going to keep saying phrases that I love. But
Just
if
do
you
it.
didn't just do it. If you didn't have a goal,
Yeah.
then you're not heading anywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like he had a huge dream.
Yep.
He went in that direction, and then life happened all the way through it. He got to meet D-Bob, which is like the most hilarious name, and I love seeing Jon Favreau in this role.
It looks like he has a lot of makeup on for one thing, but he's such a baby face in this movie.
He totally is.
He's got those tight, thin sweater vests on all the time, deep V's.
Yep.
It's a great look.
Yeah.
And it really places them in the 70s. He's great in it.
Yeah, he's killing it in this.
Yeah.
Okay, so the dream.
Yep. Love it.
Analyze that for whatever it's worth. And actually, I think that's I do want to know what the sequel is. Because you get the like if you're obsessed, if you go to college and you're obsessed with getting married.
Yeah.
Or if you're married and you're obsessed with having a kid, or if you're obsessed with a career, or the next stage in your career or whatever, you're right. You'll get there.
Yeah.
They carry you off the field. Everybody's chanting your name. But then you're home and it's like, what?
Yeah. So those thoughts flitted through my brain, but the movie's so good.
Yep.
I mean, you could put any you could put any movie through the ringer like that, right? Like what happens next after Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan meet and they're going down the elevator and like, what have we done?
Wait, we don't even know each other. And I saw that trailer where you're actually a creeper, a stalker. So
right. Put to different music. This elevator ride is terrifying.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's such a great movie. The story is so well told that I mean it's a great inspirational story. I didn't let it throw me. It just was kind of in my mind now and then throughout the movie.
Yep. It's just good to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. Next evidence. Oops. Dang it. Oh, crud.
107 something.
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
All right. Second piece of evidence. I love how a movie looks.
Yes.
How it sounds.
Yes.
And how it makes me feel. We're gonna get through these last two really quick because we spent a lot of time. The dream was like this movie is about.
That's what the movie is, right?
This movie is about dreaming big.
Yep.
And never quitting.
Yeah.
What is the sequel? Don't know. How do you learn to be satisfied, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about that tons more.
Yeah.
I just want to mention two things.
Okay.
Number two is how it looks and sounds. Okay. Super cool. Like just from like a technical aspect. I was reading up on this. NFL Films is like a production company. And they actually filmed the football stuff.
Okay.
And that's just part of what makes it look so real, so like epic in the actual football scenes and the training stuff.
I mean, it is a full stadium, right? There is this is, I mean, Jurassic Park was happening this year, but they were not CGIing this crowd.
Right. So I read into that. So, or I heard Sean Astin talk about this. 30, the band, the Notre Dame band, they filmed this during a game, like a real Notre Dame game.
I was
wondering. The band gave them 30 minutes of their normal like halftime time.
Okay.
To just shoot some scenes
with
a full of, I almost said full concert hall with a full stadium.
Yeah.
Full of people.
Right.
And so like that's what gives it that it's not Phantom Menace where there's 20 people and you can see around it where the 20 are, and then they CGI'd it. It's like
oh
a
yeah,
bunch of locusts and stuff.
totally.
Um, so what was cool about that is like they filmed it with their unbelievable cinematographers, making it look epic, making it look gritty, like a real football game. And then these were all like almost live to tape things.
Yeah,
So
it would have to be, right, if they had only that amount of time.
Yeah, he was like it was nerve-wracking because you had one take, you're in front of all these people, you're using up all this time.
Yeah.
And they did it in 2 different games. One was snowing and one wasn't, so they couldn't do any like cutting between the two because they look super different. I mean, like this is like it's pretty awesome. So just the way it looks, and then the way it sounds. I'll just do this real quick because everybody knows I love my scores. Jerry Goldsmith's in the top 5.
Wow.
I think this is maybe Jerry Goldsmith's best theme. I mean, he's got some great ones in Star Trek.
Okay.
Like actual hummable themes. And like I was saying at the top, it is it's like an Irish flute.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Like
you're totally right.
An Irish song, but it's like if you go like la da da ya da dee da dee da dee dum da 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 da, and if you just add some grace notes, okay, la da dee dum dum dee da da do ya da 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 da, it's like so like lilting. It's perfect. It is like somehow he captured, like, remember the Irish washerwoman?
Yep.
It's like it's in 3. It's got that lilt, and just change the rhythm. Like I said, and add a grace note, and you are like straight Celtic flute. James Galway. It's just, I love it, dude.
Yep. It's a great score. I love it too. And even though I hadn't seen it for 25 years, I remembered it.
Yep.
And I wonder if that's because I've heard it other places. Could that be?
Yeah, this is one of those like in that clip earlier from Rudy, that when he was talking, like it's been used all over the place. Like NFL films used it, motivational movies have used it, trailers have used it.
I was wondering if I've heard it over and over on maybe even other movies that are like Irish centric or something. Because I could sing along with it. I wonder if we ever played it in band or something. I could sing along with it immediately.
Well, and it's also one of those like that's in the hallways of Soarin' at Disney World.
Yep.
So like, dude, if you're a 90s film fan or a music score fan, go when we can one day, go wait at Soarin'. It's all Jerry Goldsmith scores, like Air Force One, Dave. Dave, I don't think is Jerry Goldsmith, but yeah, it's not. It's all those like 90s scores. And Mark McKenzie, dude, orchestrated all that stuff and put all that together.
Incredible.
Our friend. He didn't orchestrate this movie. He did Jerry Goldsmith's last 7.
Sweet.
But that is my second piece of evidence.
Nice.
How it looks, how it sounds. I mean, there's all the Glee Club singing.
Yes.
The drum lines.
It's just the a cappella Glee Club. That's good stuff. Very collegiate.
Yep. And the sound of a crowd at a football game with the announcer. I lived like less than a mile from Camp Randall for 2 years, which is where the Badgers play. And there were games where we just slept through, sold our tickets and slept through. That you could pay for your season ticket because you could sell. Just go to the ones you wanted to. And so I remember sleeping to that sound. Best to sleep into that.
No,
right,
I was in the men's Glee Club in college. So I have some stories about that. I don't think we ever sang anything. I mean, the issue, dude, is my college did not have a big football program. And so I never had that experience that you did. And so it's just making more and more sense to me about why this movie connects with you so differently than it does to me. Because there's just a lot of experiences I think you bring into it that I Didn't, but I was in the men's glee club.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We've got college football. We've got amazing music. We've got fall. We've got Sean Astin, one of the greatest actors.
Yeah.
This is just going to take me to number 3. And it's related to number 1, but just how much it motivates you. And this is really cool that you said about your brother
Yeah.
in-law.
The Taylor. Yep.
Taylor.
It actually motivates you.
Yep.
So when you get to the end, you're like, you want to do something.
Totally. Like, I dare anybody okay, so the song, the track is called Tryouts.
Uh-huh.
And like, okay, this sounds like the morning.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's morning, it's crisp. Where's that flute? I don't know. But like,
same place the light is coming from.
Yeah, why are those strings there? Like, but I just want to go for a freaking run.
Yeah.
Like, don't you just, is that not so great?
Yeah, that track is incredible. Because it is exactly what's happening.
Yep.
Does that sound dumb? It just you hear that and you know what scene it's from, and you know what they're doing, and it's just you want to go try out for a football team.
Totally. Yep. It's just it's a motivating movie.
Yeah.
It dares you to dream, but like we're saying now in our middle age, what are maybe like, I don't know. This is, I hadn't thought about this until right now. Like, what's a dream now, dude?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you. I wasn't planning on like I've talked to you about this realization that I had about my relationship with God over the past 40 years. Maybe I haven't.
Yep. Yeah, you have, totally.
The first, and it's not just about God, but maybe with the universe, where the first 20 years of my life was about appeasing. Like I just kind of felt like I had a lot of guilt. And so it was like appeasing God, appeasing other people, appeasing the universe, right? Pretty exhausting for 20 years, from birth until 20. From 20 to 40 was proving like, no, I'm good, I'm successful, and I can do this, and I can post these things, and people will love me. And when I hit 40, I was like, I'm so exhausted by both of those things. Appeasing, proving, or impressing.
Impressing.
Yep.
Totally.
And I mean, I hit a wall, dude, 40. And I was like, what even makes sense for me anymore? And so I talked about this on the other feed on Two Gomers Run for Their Lives. My word then became love. It sounds so cheesy. I'm sorry, but it's a kind of a cheesy movie, so I'll go there. Where it's like, I just want to love other people and be loved. That's my dream. I'm going to read something to you on the Black Panther episode about Chadwick Boseman too, on our result show, where I was like, cool. I also want to be that. But if I could just focus my next 40 years, what do you think? 40? Do I have 40 years left? Probably 40, 45.
Yeah.
I'm running every day, so maybe 45. If I can focus that on loving God, loving other people, loving myself, and receiving love back, that's the dream. And so I wish I could tell Rudy that, but I don't think it would do Rudy in that movie any good. He needed in his 20s to figure out this one thing, right? And I think my hope, and also probably my guess about Rudy Rudiger, if there's a foundation and all that stuff, that he has matured in his goal setting and dream making. I would hope so, and I actually think he probably has.
Yeah. Well, taking the platform that he's been given,
right?
And I mean, it makes me want to look into it. Actually, I should have before we started this, but he was given a platform. This movie, it actually sounds like he might be a Christian. I'm not sure. Okay. So he was talking about how like how some of it came together was kind of like a God miracle sort of thing.
Well, he's certainly Irish Catholic. We know that about him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Singing is, oh, the laddie, oh, the lassie.
He has religious roots. I wonder if he continues to be religious. It's interesting.
Sure, maybe ended up becoming a priest in the end.
Yeah,
Went back to
yeah,
Father
maybe
Kavanaugh.
that's the sequel. He goes back to Father Kavanaugh and he has to do the whole thing over again, but this time to become a priest.
They want him on the team. He's like, no, I want to be a priest now. But he is such a big dreamer. I wonder if he did jump into another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So, yeah, it's like you can't circumvent your 20s,
right,
and your 30s. Like you can't arrive at where you're at without having gone through all that crap.
Yeah, and so
like
I was just talking about how I wish I could shake him and tell him all that stuff, and sometimes I say that to students, and most of the time I have to back up and say, no, this has to happen right now.
You have to go through this.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to fail a million times, and you have to succeed sometimes.
Yep.
Because that's the only way you get it. And actually, the movie shows that really well. We're Taylor and I were watching this movie together, and it was an hour and 10 minutes in, and he hadn't even gotten to that tryout scene yet.
Yep.
More than halfway through the movie, and it's all about the struggle.
Yeah. It's really, he's only on the team for like the last 20 or 30 minutes of the movie at all. It's like,
it's crazy.
It's like, and that's actually some pretty amazing movie making, how they make like trying to make A's and B's and like keep applying for college. That's basically what this is. He's like trying to apply for college.
It's a full hour of him applying for college.
I know, that's exactly what it is. His friend dies.
Yep.
Super tragic.
Yeah.
Then he applies for college. Keeps getting that thin letter, which we remember the thin letter.
I remember the thin letter. I remember my girlfriend getting the thick one and me getting the thin one.
Yep. Northwestern. Right?
Yep.
Totally. So
thin letter. Be blown away by the wind.
It comes up, open the mailbox, it just flies away. You're like, well, I guess I'm not going there. Yeah. So I just it's motivating.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. You're totally right. And you couldn't talk. I've had that question before, like, what would you ask? What would you tell your 20-year-old self? I actually taught a master class for the Emory Youth Symphony last night on Zoom. And they actually asked me something like that. What advice would you give like your 16, 17, 18-year-old self?
Yeah.
And I actually said, you're going to fail a lot.
Yeah.
And maybe part of it is because I was researching for this movie.
Like maybe.
But, dream big.
Yeah.
Never quit.
Yeah.
You're going to fail a lot. But yeah, you can't get to the other side without going through it.
No.
And I like just one closing on that is like I had a student, and when I was kind of like really studying the Unhurried Life book that you gave me at 40 for Alan Faulding, and I was like telling him about it, and he's like 20, and I was like, it is falling on deaf ears, but also it's like it shouldn't. At 20 he shouldn't be. Like, should you strive for the unhurried life at 20? Like, isn't that?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So. I certainly know that for myself in my 40s, I need to.
Yep.
But
totally.
It's a great college movie, right? It's a great 20s movie. And so I actually, it was interesting. I love Anthony's choices for this reason, because I don't think I would have picked this movie. And I don't know if I would have watched it again. But I loved watching it. It made me think about so much stuff. It relates so much to the people that I work with, right? It was insightful about my own life. And no matter what, you get to that last scene. And they carry him off. And I love those, like, the cards come up and say what happens at the very end, right before the credits. And that thing about no one has been carried off the field since. What are you gonna do at that point? There's no way not to just like almost be paralyzed at that point with inspiration. They work you, and they accomplish what they want to do at the end of this movie.
Yep. It's just great.
Yep.
Tears you up, motivates you, sounds great, looks great, causes you to dream, and then at 40, analyze those dreams and analyze the next step. In looking into that, those Joe Montana hot takes, they asked him what was it like when you because I think he won 4 Super Bowls.
Okay.
Like when you have to lay down the football, what do you do? And he was like, I couldn't look at a game for 2 years.
Wow.
So just thinking about that, you've achieved the dream.
Yeah.
You did the thing. Then what?
Right.
So.
Well, we have achieved the dream of doing a Rudy episode. So I feel good about that. How inspiring is that?
That was a sacred cow for me, dude.
I'm really happy we did it.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Joe Montana, he went into horse training and horse riding, and so he discovered that kind of like second thing.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know. This is cool. And also think about that, Frank. Who's your inner critic?
Who's the inner
constantly?
Frank? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got to defeat that inner Frank. And one more thing, Brett Favre was in There's Something About Mary, not Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah. That's right.
I got confused. Okay, listener, it's up to you. There's a couple ways you can vote. You can go to our follow us on Instagram. That's the best way. Facebook is being real dumb with this new Facebook. I figured out a way to do polls and it still won't let me. It says giving me errors. Forget that. But you can follow us on Facebook. That's Two Gomers. Follow us on Instagram. Much better at Two Gomers. We put polls up in both places or ask the question, is this a perfect movie? You can vote yes or no on Rudy in the next week or so. Keep an eye on that. And then we will come back in a special bonus disc episode on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/2gomers. You can support us and follow us there for the full result episode. And we'll also reveal the results in our next episode, our next full movie episode, which is going to be Selma. Whew, I'm excited about that, dude.
Yes, totally.
Speaking of results, we also like to give you the results of the previous movie, like I just said. So we got to get to the Black Panther results real quick. We're about to record a full episode of that. We haven't done it yet. But just to let you know, we've been waiting on this for a while now.
Ooh.
The 10th movie.
Yep.
On our perfect movie list. Guess what? Black Panther is that movie.
Wow.
So we are at 10 movies. Black Panther did make the cut. Wait, actually, I don't know that because I don't know what your vote is. Shoot.
We didn't record that episode yet.
We didn't record that episode yet. Are you going to vote yes?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, good. Okay, fine. Sorry, we should have thought that through. We did this out of order. Okay, phew. So Anthony voted yes, I voted yes, and the Gomer Nation came in, I think, at almost 90%.
Incredible.
So happy to put that on there. Number 10 on the list. We are going to record a special bonus ep soon where we talk through all 10 of those movies and decide what to do now that we've gotten to the 10. But just so people know, we're not stopping the podcast. I wonder if some people were worried about that.
We're not stopping. Don't worry.
We've got a long list of movies left to go.
It's like that. It's like the podcast is that sandwich and never-ending story. Can't. Gotta save it. We've got a long way to go.
Got a long way to go. I think it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
On white bread.
Yep.
Also, movie foods. That the shake that he makes, the egg, orange juice.
Oh yeah,
with
his
cracked
dad
egg in the middle. Blends that and drinks it live on camera.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
They're in Berlin or whatever. Filmed in Berlin. You can totally tell.
Sehr gut. Yeah.
All right, dude. Rudy. We're rooting you. We're rooting for you, Rudy. Rudy.
Yes. Rudy.
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 Rudy. We will see if it's a perfect movie. Coming up here in the next couple of weeks. All right, dude. Great app.
Great. Super fun, man. Thanks for letting us talk through that. That was super fun. And thanks for watching it.
Have a great week.
All right, you too, dude.
And happy watching Selma.
All right, let's stop that. 1, 2, 3, stop. Great.
Sweet. Save.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording on. Bye, everybody. Bye, Gomertrons.
Oh, bye, Gomertrons. Thanks for hanging. There was some glitches there, so.
Whatever. They'll hear the nice clean cut on the podcast feed.
Yep.
But I know they like the raw uncut stuff too. Bye, Gomer Nation. Bye, Gomertrons.